Okay. What? Woo! There was a good little belch. Let's see if everything is going. I'm going to add this to this stage right now. Have some nice murder drones background footage going. Let's see here. Audio. Is the audio going on through? Okay. Boop, ba-doop, ba-doop, boop, boop. All right. Audio does whatever audio does. Yes, and my voice is coming through. All right. Well, hello. Say hello to those of you who are here in the chat. I got the hellos from ISO, Matterlad, Hannah Heaven, I'm Omega. Fantastic. Good to have you guys here. Say for today's live stream, see how long this goes. I don't want to go more than 2 hours, just because I got so much on my plate. As I've been telling other people who've been reaching out to me for some help and assistance with other things recently, I'm right now trying to get through a whole bunch of stuff so that way I can just absolutely enjoy the heck out of this weekend, because I'm going to be going camping with my dad, and that is awesome. It's been a while since he and I last went camping, and this is going to be exciting. Yes, Camille's right. I am a very, very busy lad. So let me then just start hopping into what I want to do for tonight. What I want to talk about tonight. I'm going to be talking about The Mummy. And for all you young whippersnappers out there who haven't yet seen the 1999 Mummy movie with Brendan Fraser, it is so dang good. I stayed up way too late last night, till about 3 o'clock, past 3 o'clock in the morning, talking with a friend of mine about just how good this movie is. So comes highly recommended. We're going to talk about the story elements, what it does incredibly well, what we can learn from it. And I will also address some of the stuff I heard at the Phoenix Fan Fusion about The Mummy, and give some of my answers to that stuff here on the stream. Also, we're going to talk about character arcs, and specifically look at, for instance, a type of character arc that I've brought up in the past about the unchanging protagonist, and based on some conversations that Camille and I have had recently with Matterlad, we want to kind of tackle some of those sticky issues and try to help you guys get some good information about character arcs, what to think about, what to look for, what you can potentially do. And there's so many things you can do with your characters. So this is not going to be a catch-all conversation that we're going to have, but hopefully this will give those of you who are interested, those of you who might be struggling with character arcs, some good insight that will help you out in your own stories, give you a starting place, and then you just do what you want to do, what you got to do with your own characters. And to kind of start us off, before we get into the big stuff, I need to bring up, I gotta bring up the news that just came out about Tom Bombadil for the Rings of Power. Oh, I got to get a rant off my chest. I'm not going to do a dedicated video to it, because I'm going to save my vitriol for when the show actually comes out and we see what they do with Tom Bombadil. But before I jump into my little mini rant right here, let's see what we quickly got, because we've already got some people dropping some things here in the chat. Hannah wishing us a good time. Thank you, Hannah. Iso just went fishing with your dad at the ocean for 2 days. That is fantastic. I hope you had a wonderful time and that you caught a lot of fish. Rubens, Privyet Tavarish. Privyet Tavarish? I don't know what that means. I'm so happy to be here to offer assistance if I can. Thank you, ISO. Yeah, we are all here to help each other out with what we want to cover and talk about. Rubens, do not remind me of the V sacrifice. Oh, we will be coming back to V sacrifice at some point in time, Rubens. We can't escape it. We can't escape it. You only caught one fish, ISO? Man. The fish were wary of you. Marilyn, me who's got no idea what the Tom thing is. Well, as Camille's brought up, Tom is one of my favorite Lord of the Rings characters, and I'm nervous. Here's the thing, Tom Bombadil is easily one of the fan favorites across all the characters for the Lord of the Rings. And Camille can definitely give her reasons as to why that is, but one of the reasons why people love Tom Bombadil, at least one of the many reasons why people love Tom Bombadil, is because he just represents so much goodness within the Lord of the Rings story. And when you read the Fellowship of the Ring for the first half of the book is a legit horror story. People don't give Tolkien enough credit to the fact that he actually wrote an excellent horror story with the ring wraiths chasing Frodo and his friends and all of these horrific things happening to them along the way. It's not just the ring wraiths chasing them, but there are ruffians on the road. Their property gets stolen. A tree tries to eat them. A forest tries to kill them. They nearly get sacrificed in a dark ritual deep within a tomb as these undead spirits come and take them. There's all kinds of crazy stuff that happens. And in the midst of this run against enemies that the hobbits can't even comprehend, you have Tom Bombadil who shows up, saves the hobbits from Old Man Willow, the tree that tries to kill them, and cheers them up. And he's like, you know, I'm going to take you home. You're going to meet my wife. She's going to cook us an amazing meal. And then I'm going to sing a bunch of songs to you. And then I'm going to tell you all about the world that we live in because it's just so cool. And Tom Bombadil is just such a jolly, happy, nice guy. And all of the darkness that you as the reader have experienced through Frodo and the other hobbits gets dispelled in this incredible chapter where Tolkien kind of does like a musical lore dump on top of you. So he's telling you all these things, but you're like, oh, we're safe from the outside world. And Tom Bombadil again is just such a fantastic character, an embodiment of pure goodness in the world of Middle Earth. And Camille says right here, and meet my pony Fatty Lumpkin. Fatty Lumpkin is such a great character. Yeah, he's got this little pony, Fatty Lumpkin, who's an incredibly intelligent pony that teaches the other ponies that the hobbits have how to be intelligent, how to kind of think for themselves. And so there's a later on part where, again, just shenanigans, bad things are happening. The ring wraiths come and attack. Ponies get scattered. And the hobbits are like, well, we're pretty certain that all of the ponies went back to join with Fatty Lumpkin because all the ponies trust Fatty Lumpkin, just as all the hobbits come to trust Tom Bombadil after he saved them 2 times, once from Old Man Willow and then from the Barrow-wights. So just a great guy, and Tolkien himself, like. There's apparently letters from Tolkien where his editor was like, are you sure you want to have Tom Bombadil here in the story? Because he just seems a bit like a tangent. And Tolkien's like, he must be in this story. He is absolutely essential to the overall themes and feel of my world. And the fans agreed. So Tom Bombadil, what an absolutely beloved character. Now then, Rings of Power has already announced what they are going to do with Tom Bombadil in the 2nd season. Tom Bombadil is going to come out of his forest, which is being destroyed, which doesn't make any sense because Tom Bombadil is such a powerful character. He's a Maiar on the same level as Sauron, and he's able to protect and preserve his forest through the power of his music and through the power of his own presence. He's able to sing evil into obliteration. He can sing stuff to life. This guy is uber powerful. Why is his forest being destroyed? Who knows? But apparently now Tom Bombadil isn't actually the big powerful guy that we once thought he was. Then the character design for him is just super drab, and the beard looks fake. It looks so dang fake. And what they say is that Tom Bombadil in season 2 is going to come around and he's going to fight alongside the Harfoots and the unnamed wizard, and he is going to save the world. This is so unlike Tom Bombadil, who in the book The Fellowship of the Ring, there's one point where the elves are like, why don't we just give the one ring to Tom Bombadil? He's so powerful, he can keep it safe. And Gandalf is like, he is very powerful, but he doesn't care. He's such a carefree spirit, and he's more concerned with his forest and with his wife that he might lose the ring, which would be really bad for us because then any old random orc can come and just pick it on up. And on top of that, Tom Bombadil loves his forest so much he doesn't like to leave. The hobbits at one point even beg him to accompany them to the town of Bree to meet Gandalf. And Tom is like, I'm not going there. And he's like, I love my forest. My wife is waiting for me. And I've got songs to sing. You hobbits need to take care of things yourself. Tom Bombadil does not leave his forest. So the idea of Tom Bombadil not being able to protect his forest, Tom Bombadil leaving the forest, Tom Bombadil fighting, none of that fits with Tom Bombadil, who he's an unchanging force of goodness, rings of power. Have you not read the books? I'm all for putting Tom Bombadil into a Lord of the Rings story because he is a fan favorite. He is an amazing character. If he's done right, he's full of life, laughter, music. He is a great portal into the history of Middle-earth, and you can learn all these amazing things from him. But he's not a warrior. He's not meant to be the main character. He's meant to be that individual within a greater epic who empowers the heroes to go on the next leg of their journey. And that's what he does. If you remove him from that role, you're not going to give the fans of Middle-earth the Tom Bombadil that they know and love. And I don't believe that the writers have it within them to establish the Tom Bombadil that we all know and love. So there we go. Rant done. Let's have a look at what you guys were writing here in the chat as I had my little tirade. Gavin Libby is here. I love The Mummy. Yes, Gavin. So glad that you're here for The Mummy talk. We will be getting to The Mummy here very soon. Once I've caught up with the chat, we are going to get to The Mummy. Forrest trained to kill them. Reminds me a lot of Vietnam. Rubens, when you need to tell us one of these days when you fought in Nam. So not many fish, but the scenery was spectacular. So you're at Whittier, was cold and raining, so he decided to go to Seward. There, your dad caught a huge lingcod. I don't know what a lingcod is. I'll have to look up what a lingcod is. Rubens, if we were to go fishing in the water and grabbing the fish with our bare hands, and it's strong for you, Rubens. It's 10 degrees Celsius here. To describe the mood of the people here in one sentence is apocalypse. That sounds like a fantastic fun time, Rubens. I wish it was 10 degrees Celsius over here right now. TV account, I have a theory about how Gooseworks is secretly using death of the author. Oh, very interesting. Share with us your theory there in the chat. All right, so if I could get a grip on them, I'd do the same. Rubens, by the way, 99% of the time we grab small fish. So lingcod. So here we have a description of lingcod. Lingcod have teeth, sharp, pointy teeth, and they're scary. I'm right now envisioning a barracuda in my head, and that's probably not what a lingcod looks like. Rubens, all we have are some lakes and rivers with some worthless fish. Hey, don't call the fish worthless. Those fish work for us. At least no disease holds us back. TV accounts. She knows people who fans would try to get info from, so she decided to only answer questions about the show on her Tumblr. Interesting. I mean, that's one way of going. That's one way of getting people to come and visit your Tumblr page. Rubens, he's more concerned with the forest than his wife. Is the certified Vietnam moment? No, Rubens. He loves the forest and his wife. He's more concerned about them than the rest of the world. Brazil is liberating Amazonia from the oppressive trees for freedom. Hey, Rubens, you probably already know this, but some fun Brazilian history. The natives of Brazil deforested a huge chunk of the Amazon rainforest before the Spaniards and Portuguese showed up. When the Portuguese especially showed on up, when they began going and attacking the natives and bringing them on over to the coast, then the Amazon rainforest immediately started springing up more and more, grew beyond its original boundaries, and the Portuguese were just terrified of the forest because it was like hell on earth. So Brazil now liberating itself from the oppressive trees for freedom and for lack of oxygen. Yeah, we need oxygen. Camille, you regret Googling what a link god looks like? Okay. I gotta look this up now. I'm quickly diverting my attention away from the chat. I'm looking up a link god. And so that's what it is. I didn't realize that they got that big. Holy cow. No, I do know that fish. I just never knew that was its name. Yes, that is a disturbing, scary fish. Question, do they taste delicious? I bet that with the right kind of tartar sauce, they taste absolutely wonderful. Camille says that man loves his wife. He does. And I love Goldberry as well. I need to go back and reread the chapter in the House of Tom Bombadil because again, just Bombadil is a great character, and I'll be honest, he, as opposed to many fans for the Lord of the Rings, he is not one of my favorites. And that's mostly because I really love active protagonists and antagonists. And Tom Bombadil, in the words of Gandalf, is a stone-gathering moss. And so while he provides, at least for me, a great breath of relief in the midst of the story, when you definitely need it, and he helps the hobbits out in great ways, and has such an epic moment where the Barrow Wights are singing to enact the death of the hobbits, and then Tom Bombadil shows up and kills the Barrow Wights by singing at them, is an absolutely great moment. But even then still, he's not one of my favorites, and so it'll be neat going back in light of what Rings of Power is planning on doing, rereading In the House of Tom Bombadil, and I think just taking my time and enjoying Bombadil and his antics once again. Rubens, the natives of Brazil are absolutely nightmarish. There was the example. There were, for example, the Tupa. I'm so sorry, I'm going to butcher their name. Tupaonga. They straight up ate a Portuguese while the rest of the boat watched. And then they played ball with the head. Well, you know what? There's no other way of letting people know to get off your front lawn than eating the kid that just stepped on your grass. Excuse me. TV account, my feed got cut. Did you read my other comments? I did, TV account. I did. Oh, wait. No, I did miss one. But when it comes to stuff like the characters, so comes around to her talking about Gooseworks, talking about the show, The Amazing Digital Circus, on her Tumblr page. You also included, but when it comes to stuff like the characters still having some of their original memories, she had to address it on Twitter. I need to have a look at what Gooseworks has recently been saying, because I will admit I have not spent much time on Twitter at all recently. And that's mostly because I'm just busy. All right. So let's hear. Camille says, I like Tom so much because I want what he has. Bro's got it figured out. He does. Bro incorporated Giga Chad vibes. No, Tom Bombadil has it all figured out. He's living his best life. And to be all honest, I would love, if I could go to Middle Earth, I would love to go hang out in the house of Tom Bombadil. And I would go through the old forest to get there. Because while the old forest is creepy and it would try to kill me, I would also be having my eyes open for the Entwives and their Hurons, and or horns, depending on how you decide to pronounce it. When you watch the movie, the two towers, and there's the trees moving in the background to go fight the orcs. Those are the Hurons, which are the trees that have become Entish and have taken on personalities and characteristics more reminiscent of living beings rather than just simply trees. All right, so with OTV Count forgot to add that Goose lies on her Tumblr. Of course. Matter lad, so Tom is a good example of an unchanging character then? Yes. And Matter lad, I'm going to tell you this off the bat before we switch gears on over to the Mummy. Having an unchanging character is one of the hardest things to pull off in a story. It's not something that I myself would readily try to do because you have to make the audience love that character for who they are and not care one whit that nothing in the story is going to change them. And that could actually be very boring to read or to watch as well if that's your main character. There's very, very few people who manage to pull that off. So we'll get a little bit more into that here later in the live stream. Real fast, Rubens. Oh yeah, there's also a famous story of a Brazilian crew patrolling in Gibraltar in 1917. They saw movement on the water, thought it was a German submarine, opened fire. It was dolphins. Decisive victory. Don't shoot the dolphins. Dolphins are our friends. All right, so here we go. Switching gears on over to The Mummy. Oh, this movie is just so dang great. And I'm really, really hoping that Universal does not pull down this stream just because I'm showing footage. Because Universal is one of those studios that doesn't care one bit that you changed around your footage. They still look for a way to stab you in the back. So much for free use. So, talking here about The Mummy. I'll give you guys a really quick rundown of the basic plot, and then I'm going to talk about the adventure genre, which is what The Mummy firmly puts both feet in, where it makes it stand. And the adventure genre is a genre that unfortunately just doesn't get enough love these days. But the basic story of The Mummy is that you have the High Prince Imhotep 3,000 years ago, who was in love with the Pharaoh's wife. And they, of course, then we're going to have an illegal affair behind the scenes. When they are discovered, they decide to kill the Pharaoh, and then the Pharaoh's wife kills herself to avoid the retribution of the Magi. And as a result of that, Imhotep is taken and is put through this curse. He is mummified alive with all of his followers, and they are cursed to never die. They must suffer for all eternity, stuck in a sarcophagus. But if anyone should open that sarcophagus, he will then become a plague upon the living to remind them that they should not do these kinds of things and to punish them for their greed. So, skip 3,000 years later, we are now in the 1920s. World War I is over. It's a new age of exploration, adventure, colonialism, and a soldier of fortune, Rick O'Connell, is with an army that goes to plunder the city, the ancient city where Imhotep was buried, because it's said that the wealth of Egypt is there. Well, he gets captured, he gets taken prisoner. Meanwhile, you have this girl Evelyn and her brother Jonathan, who find a map leading them to the city of Hamunaptra, where this treasure is to be had. But the map gets damaged, and so Jonathan takes Evie to Rick, where he's held in prison, to bust him out. So that way they can then go find the city, get the gold, get rich. Along the way, they run into cowboys from America who are looking to get rich, and Rick's not so good friend Benny, who's there to kind of betray everyone and get rich in the process. They get to Hamunaptra, the mummy is released, horrors ensue, and Rick, Evie, and Jonathan have to work together to figure out how to defeat the mummy before he gains all of his powers and sacrifices Evie to resurrect the Pharaoh's wife. Yay! There's the story in short, and it is dang good. So let's see here. Oh, we got a lots. Oh, not got some people popping on in with some smart stuff. Great synopsis from Camille. My thank you. And I tried not to give away too many spoilers. Yes, there are some spoilers here in the footage, but I mostly pulled from the trailers. So blame it on the trailers. Roblox is down. Did I miss something? You missed my rant about Tom Bombadil. That's what you missed, Roblox. But otherwise, you are here in time for the rest of the show. Matterlad, me see spiders getting poured on someone. Also me. New fear unlocked. Well, lucky for you, Matterlad, those are not spiders. Those are scarabs. Unfortunately for everyone who's getting these bugs poured on them, these are flesh-eating bugs, and they eat people alive. In real life, they don't. They're like cockroaches, which is still highly unpleasant. But in the movie, they eat you alive. From ISO, hey, we almost ran over a pod of dolphins on our trip. Oof. Well, dolphins also run over other people, so I guess they had it coming. But still, don't shoot the dolphins. I'm Omega. Have you seen anything from Brotherhood Workshop? It's a Lego stop-motion channel who did a lot of Lord of the Rings videos, especially one about why Tom wasn't in the film. I'm Omega. I am right now going to go and open up another tab, and I'm going to watch that later, because that sounds fantastic. I mean, I already have a pretty good sense myself for why Tom Bombadil isn't in the movie, simply because it would just be too much of a sidebar, too much of a tangent. But I do look forward to watch this. Man, it looks good. All right. So thank you for the recommendation, I'm Omega. Camille says that movie unlocked so many fears for me as a kid. It did. Oh my gosh. And the mummy creeped me out. I mean, watching it now as an adult, over 20 years later, the mummy looks still a little bit cheap, at least in terms of CGI. But there is still one scene when you're first introduced to the mummy that is fantastic, where they have a model of the mummy as he's popping up out of the sarcophagus, and so no CGI, just practical effects. And it's creepy. It is so dang good. And then when he gets resurrected, they did a fantastic panning shot that dips down underneath the mummy to make him look even bigger and more imposing before this practical effect thing just comes to life. And it still, even now, it gives you just a slight jump scare. And it's great. Camille says, watching it now, it has the perfect amount of campiness, but genuinely has some great spooks and effects. It does. And to Camille's point about the campiness, I actually want to address why it works so well, especially because in the second half of the movie, it goes full horror, and it's incredible how drastic the shift is, and yet it works. So let me first talk about the adventure genre, and then I'm going to talk about what the mummy does so dang well. Especially in terms of its campiness. So the adventure genre is one that, as I said earlier, you don't see much of anymore. You can still find books that are written in the adventure genre, and there are still plenty of movies that are made within the adventure genre. The most recent one being Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Definitely not my favorite movie, but for those who want to watch an adventure movie, that was done recently, that is actually a good adventure flick. anything like Around the World in 80 Days, Journey to the Center of the Earth, 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Um, let's see here. What else? Those are the ones that immediately come to mind. There's one that's right on the tip of my tongue. Oh, and it's going to bug me now for a little while. But these specific books and their film adaptations. Ooh, Camille, Uncharted. Yes, Uncharted. Absolutely correct. And the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen also fits into the adventure genre. The adventure genre is all about the unexplored possibilities of the world as it begins to become smaller. And so what you have to think about for the setting of any good adventure story is, oh, I'm Omega Atlantis, the Lost Empire. Yes, yes, that is a great example. So the basic setting for any good adventure story is that humanity, well, usually it's humanity, though you can have fun and do aliens and the likes if you wish. But the idea being is that in an age of new technology, where things that were once thought to be impossible are now possible, people are going out and exploring the world, and there's kind of this race on to find the last things that have yet to be discovered, to plunder the last tomb that has yet to be plundered, to discover the magic that was once lost, whatever. As the world gets smaller, the adventurers are trying to find that last thing before it gets lost. And so in the case of Atlantis, the Lost Empire, as the world is growing smaller, what if we could find Atlantis? We go to find Atlantis. Uncharted. The world's gotten so small. There's so few treasures left to find. But what if we could find that one treasure that has gone missing, that no one else has been able to find? And for 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea, with new technology, the British empires become so powerful. The seas are no longer a place of freedom and refuge, and so you have Captain Nemo, who fights against the British and tries to find freedom and security on the sea as that's disappearing. Camille puts in there National Treasure. Yes, National Treasure also would fit into the adventure genre. Where people say, look, this vast American treasure that you claim to have once existed is no longer there. It's been lost. No one will ever find it again. That bit of history is gone. Just stop crying over spilled milk. And Nicolas Cage's character is like, no, I will find the lost treasure of the Templars, or of the Freemasons, and goes on that epic adventure, and explores through the land and through history to find that treasure. Matterlad says, what about Treasure Planet? Does that count? And you've never seen it, Matterlad, you gotta watch Treasure Planet. It's such a great movie. Yes, actually, both Treasure Island and Treasure Planet I would count as adventure stories. The Treasure Island is set in another time of exploration where people were exploring the new world, and the islands out there on the ocean were something mystical and unknown and dangerous, and so it's this epic adventure to go on out there. What can be found? So the adventure genre basically is set well within those particular parameters. The world is growing smaller, thanks especially to technology, and people are looking for that last adventure, that last treasure, that last bit of magic. And adventure stories also will usually end with the protagonist finding said treasure, or finding said magic, or finding said lost place, but usually losing it. In some stories like Treasure Island, Atlantis, and National Treasure, the heroes do walk away with the big treasure, but in plenty of other stories they don't. Instead, it is the journey that is the treasure. It's the friends we made along the way. It is the love that you didn't expect to find that you found that completes you. And that the journey is it's in of itself. That is what you really are there for. As it says, Journey to the Center of the Earth, and Camille and I both agree. Yes, I didn't mention Journey to the Center of the Earth. Yeah, that is a good one. That's definitely within the adventure genre. So when it comes then to The Mummy, you have in the 1920s, in this new age of exploration and colonization, as especially the Ottoman Empire has fallen, which now means that the Middle East and parts of North Africa are open to the European powers to come in and conquer the place. Not that they should have done that, but that's what they did. And so you have the French, you've got the British all coming on in, and they're looking for that last bit of treasure that has yet to be found and yet to be plundered. And Jonathan and Rick are definitely the treasure hunters, along with a lot of the villains. Evie, on the other hand, man, I love Evie so much. She isn't necessarily out for the treasure. She wants to find the treasure. She wants to find the lost city of Hymenoptera. She wants to find all of its secrets. But there's one of the best scenes in the movie is when Evie and Rick are in the lost city talking, and Rick says, I know why we're here, like collectively speaking. I know why I'm here. I know why Jonathan is here. I know why all those cowboys are there. And I get all of that, but I can't figure you out. Why are you here, Evie? And Evie's a little bit tipsy, which makes the scene just all the more charming and funny. And she brings up how she is a librarian. As a woman librarian in Egypt in the 1920s, there's not a whole lot of prospects for her. And so being able to come out on this adventure, to be the one to help to discover the lost city of Hymenoptera, to not just be someone who catalogs other people's stories, but to make her own story, to have her own adventure, to validate herself and her knowledge and find some love along the way, which Evie and Rick are like best couple goals. One of the best couples in cinema. That is what she's there for. And what I love is that while everyone else is there for the treasure, Evie is the one who at the end of the story really walks away with everything that she wanted to get by going on this adventure. And you just absolutely cheer for her and it's so great. And for Jonathan and for Rick, they go through the classic adventurer plot line of, we're here for the treasure, and by the end, we lost the city again. The city's now lost, along with all of its amazing treasure. But you know what? We saved the world. Rick gets the girl. Jonathan is able to put up with the camel. Happy ending for everyone, with a little bit of a wink at the very end with some unexpected treasure, which leads into the sequel, The Mummy Returns, which I don't have any footage for right here in this live stream, but absolutely watch The Mummy and then watch The Mummy Returns. Oh, they're so good. Roblox is down. Was the Goonies mentioned? No, I didn't mention the Goonies. Ooh. Roblox, I am going to say that the Goonies does have a foot in the adventure genre. There is definitely an action comedy aspect to the Goonies, as well as a coming of age story, but it is absolutely rooted, at least with one foot, in the adventure genre, with how the pirate One-Eyed Willie, he's lost to time. People wonder if he's just a myth, that there's no way you can discover him, and that by then finding that clue, finding the map up in the attic, they're then able to start chasing after One-Eyed Willie's rich stuff. And that definitely is a part of the adventure story. And just like with most adventure stories, they don't really walk away with the whole treasure. They walk away with just enough to save the Goondocks, but otherwise, Otherwise, it is the adventure and the friends we made along the way, and Brad getting the girl, and Mikey stealing the first kiss. Oh man, I need to rewatch The Goonies. That's so good. Now then, when you watch The Mummy, which all of you should, because it's so good. One of the things that The Mummy does really, really well is that it firmly establishes all of its characters in the from the beginning. So for our main characters, Rick, Evie, and Jonathan, you get a very good idea of who they are from the very beginning. And the humor is also established. The humor is absolutely essential to the Mummy movie. Otherwise, you don't get the campiness, the endearing campiness. Hold on a second here. Let me take a drink. Good water. Maryland. Oh, wait, you're using an OBS? I've been trying to play around things I plug into. For some reason, no sound plays. Yes, I have not been playing any sounds for this. I remember seeing the second movie while dealing with homework. We had chicken casserole with milk that night. It was fun. It must have been an incredibly memorable night because you remember the casserole. Ooh, chicken casserole sounds good. I know I just ate, but chicken casserole sounds delicious. So coming back to the beginning of the Mummy movie, definitely establishes our characters. How Jonathan is this kind of happy-go-lucky, rolls with the punches, treasure hunter who nothing keeps him down. This guy's lost so much. He's lost his dignity, he's lost his fortune, he's lost his sense of direction, but he still keeps on coming. And he's just such a wonderful breath of fresh air. And brings a lot of the humor. Rick is the straight guy. A lot of Rick's humor comes from him just kind of calling the scenes like it is. Where like if it's a bad situation, he's going to say it's a bad situation while everyone else is trying to make the most of it. He's like, no, this just sucks. And he is a hardened warrior, and this is something that I've come to appreciate the more that I've watched this movie, is that Rick isn't just some himbo who's going to be tamed by Evie. We actually get many moments throughout the movie that shows that there is a gentlemanly side to Rick, despite his hardened exterior, despite his profession, that he treats people well, and even though he has every reason to kill Benny, his treacherous friend, multiple times throughout the movie, he doesn't do it because Rick isn't about that life. Rick wants to see the good in other people. Rick isn't just simply going to resort to putting a bolt in someone's head unless he absolutely has to, which shows a controlled, more gentle side to him, which comes out the more that he's around Evie, which is a great dynamic to their relationship because of how she pulls out that kinder side more to the forefront, and he in turn pulls her more adventurous side out to the forefront. And we get to see her transform from librarian to very capable adventurer. And Evie has a great positive attitude, despite all the things that go wrong. She's clumsy, klutzy at the beginning, and it's very clear that in some cases she just doesn't fit in. Maybe we can say she's a woman out of her time, but we get to watch her go from that particular archetype, as I said, to becoming just this great adventurer. Yet throughout the story, she retains her positivity, she retains her kindness, and she retains her love for the adventure. And those particular qualities for Evie, for Rick, for Jonathan remain constant throughout the movie. So while the first half of the movie is played up as a campy adventure story where all kinds of silly stuff is going on, there's plenty of jokes, when The Mummy is released halfway through the movie, you get an immediate 180 turn, and everything goes from fun, funny, adventurous to downright horrific. The Mummy comes at full speed after the heroes. He's killing people left and right. He's enacting his curses. He's destroying Egypt and taking it over, and he just cannot be stopped. And yet, in the midst of all of that horror, there is plenty of comedy because the characters remain who they are. You still have Rick being the straight guy. You have Jonathan, who refuses to be down on his luck. He's going to continue to roll with the punches and use humor to deal with the situation. And Evie continues to be positive. When you bring all of that together, you get organic comedy. It's never forced. It doesn't feel like it's out of place. It works. And it's incredible to watch play out while you're watching the movie. And Camille, feel free to chime in with your observations as I quickly address a couple of the things that are posted in here. I'm Omega. I recommend adding Doritos crumbs to it, to the chicken casserole or to the milk. Actually, quick little side story to that. I really enjoy eating Cooler Ranch chips with vanilla ice cream, not in the same bowl. Eat a couple of Cooler Ranch chips and get that spice on your tongue. You're going to feel a little bit spicy, and then you eat one spoonful of cold vanilla ice cream, and it's so soothing. It's such a fantastic experience, and it tastes great. I told people this, and they believed that no, Lars just puts Doritos Cool Ranch chips into his ice cream. And so one time in college, I was forced to eat a bowl of vanilla ice cream with Cool Ranch chips crumbled all over the top. It still tasted fine, but I was like, guys, this is not how you enjoy Cooler Ranch chips with your vanilla ice cream. Dang it. Camille, Rick walked so Flynn Rider could run. Yes, amen, Camille. Amen to that. I just walked downstairs and my parents were watching Frieren. Kind of disorienting. ISO, oh, you gotta talk with your parents about what they think about Frieren. It is such a great story. And it's one that I have found a lot of older people have really enjoyed watching Frieren, where stuff like My Hero Academia, Sword Art Online, and Jujutsu Kaisen have been kind of the anime that have brought a lot of young new viewers to watch anime. I have observed that Frieren has been the show to bring older people in to watch anime. And I think that that's fascinating. I'd love to dig more into that sometime in the future. Roblox says they might be looking at your search history. I'm Omega. Yes, the Malk. Oh, the Malk. What do you think, Story Lover? My lad, the other day I saw my dad and brother watching the live action Avatar Last Airbender. I feel betrayed. Hey, if they want to watch it, I mean, I'll say this. Even though I wasn't the biggest fan of the live action adaptation, there were a lot of people who really enjoyed it. And I'm not going to take away the fact that they could enjoy it. And I actually myself really liked the depiction of Fire Lord Ozai. And I thought that they did Uncle Iroh pretty well. And I liked the actor who played Aang. I actually really liked a lot of the children actors that they brought on for the live action adaptation. I thought that it was pretty well cast. The CGI, for the most part, looked really good. There were some story beats that they absolutely nailed. And then other times where I was like, I know that we're running short on time because we only have so many episodes, but please do not do Boomy dirty by trying to cram in too many storylines into that. And then also they just did Boomy dirty. There's just no getting around that. Roblox is down. All they're going to see is anime music and random out-of-context questions. Those out-of-context questions, though, ISO. Ooh, boy. I meant the casserole. Any thoughts on the third movie? Okay, so for the third movie, I have not watched the third movie yet. So I can't exactly say. I've been a little bit scared to watch it just because, why did they age up? Why did they age up the son so much? And also, why didn't they rehire the actress who to play Eve, to reprise her role as Evie? It just, and then they're in China, like it just, I don't know. There's just a lot of things I was like, well, I don't know. I don't know if I really want to watch this. So I haven't seen it yet. I can't give an opinion. As Camille wrote right there, the third movie is interesting. Mr. Emmerich, my parents watch Russian movies dubbed to Spanish free on YouTube. Well, that's interesting. I do know that you can actually watch a fair number of Russian flicks here on YouTube. And actually, speaking of Russian movies, yesterday I confirmed that one of the movies of my childhood, Scamper the Penguin, is a Soviet Union movie, which, get this, was made by Japanese. It was made by the Japanese. It does not look anime. It looks like it's an American cartoon. Nope, it's Russian. Camille says, I think Rachel Weisz either had scheduling conflicts or wasn't interested in coming back. It really didn't feel the same without her. Yeah, Rachel Weisz just has such a fantastic, she's just got the charm. She's got the charm. And just her chemistry with Brendan Fraser and what's the name of the actor who plays Jonathan? Just fantastic chemistry with the main cast. Yeah, not having her in it was definitely a bad idea. When I went to the panel celebrating The Mummy for its 25th anniversary at Fan Fusion, there was like an immediate ground rule of, we are not talking about the third movie. We are here to talk about The Mummy, and The Mummy is what we're going to talk about. It's the first movie. The panel didn't like the second movie, which I thought was blasphemy because the second movie is so much fun. But hey, people are allowed to have bad opinions. I'm Omega, but as Yetis. Marilad, my parents watch all live actions, and it's always just so that they can judge and laugh at how bad they are. Oh, that's what ISO says. Yeah. And Marilad said, my boy Sokka was done dirty. Where's his character arc? Yeah, but again, with the amount of time that they had in the live action, I understand why things were cut. The cartoon is definitely the superior version of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I just wish that they had given more to some of the actors and actresses. Camille, I love the second movie. Me too. Also, little fun thing for the second movie. I remember when the first teaser trailer came out for The Mummy Returns. I had seen it I've been watching Saturday morning cartoons. Saturday morning cartoons came to an end. And that's when all the boring golf games and whatnot came onto television. So that meant it was time to do Saturday chores. But I watched a little bit longer because I didn't want to do Saturday chores. And then there I saw the teaser trailer for The Mummy Returns. And in The Mummy Returns, you have the Army of Anubis, which is unleashed. And a scene that was not used at all in all the other promotional material or in the movie was a scene of stone Anubis warriors charging into battle and spinning. So like their torsos began spinning as they're spinning their blades, and they're just cutting men down left and right. And so when I finally got to see the movie, I was like, I get to watch the stone Anubis warriors. And then it didn't happen. You got to watch plenty of Anubis warriors, but no stone Anubis warriors. And I was so disappointed. Roblox is down, says, wait until they get to the live action Death Note movies. It'll be a sad, sad day. Didn't they do already a live action Death Note movie? Or are you saying wait until the family gets to them, because that'll be a sad day? Because in any case, yeah, it's going to be sad. I would not trust a live action adaptation for Death Note. Malad, side question: what are your opinions on the three Shrek movies before I watched them? I tried on many occasions to watch Shrek, but failed. I love the Shrek movies. I love the first movie. The second movie proves that it is possible for the sequel to be better than the original. Let's see here. Shrek the Third kind of felt like that kind of fell apart for me. The fourth Shrek movie is is definitely something else. It's not necessarily as funny as it is dark, but I thought it was a good story. And then the Puss in Boots movies, which are a continuation of the Shrek franchise, are good. I especially love The Last Wish, which then ties itself back into the Shrek franchise because plans are for them to do a fifth Shrek movie. William Dafoe is the only thing good about that movie. William Dafoe just has magic. He can make bad stuff good, at least when he's on screen. All right, let's see here. Was there anything else I wish to really talk about with as far as the Mummy goes? So I talked about the introduction for the characters. Really, just it's all we could be here for hours breaking down every single scene, but in a way you also kind of need to have made sure that you've watched it beforehand, so that way you can truly appreciate some of the things. And also there are certain moments that I would not want to spoil to anyone who has yet to watch it, because there are definitely some great jump scares, some great reveals about the world building, some great action sequences that I would not want to ruin for anyone, that they just get in the movie. There's just so much good stuff. Everyone's homework is to watch The Mummy. Yes, Camille, that is exactly right. And if you happen to have an Amazon account, or you have a family member who has an Amazon account, there's even, last I checked last night, there is even a deal to watch it for free. I'm not exactly sure what all that deal entails. I still had to rent it, but because it's weird. I own the second movie. My older sister owns the first movie. I would have to go to her to watch it. And so I was like, I just don't have the time. I'm going to rent it and watch it. But it is for rent. If you have Peacock, you can watch it on Peacock. It's also on Apple TV. So actually quite a few services have it available if you don't have a hard copy to watch. Now, lad, what is Shrek the Third? We don't talk about Shrek the Third. Exactly. And we don't talk so much about Shrek the Third. Here's the thing. I love Prince Charming's villain arc in Shrek the Third. That was a lot of fun. I felt that a lot of the jokes in Shrek the Third, where Shrek was concerned, fell flat. Fiona with the princesses was funny, but I don't think there was enough of that to really sustain the movie on just Fiona and the other princesses. All right. So let's see here. So that will do it, I believe, for the Mummy conversation. So let me then turn my attention on over to talking about character arcs. And before I get really into that part of the live stream, let me take a good drink of water, give my voice a chance to rest as well. Camille, I think one of the big issues with Shrek the Third is that it's so forgettable compared to the first two. Yes. Yeah, I really don't remember much other than the cringe jokes regarding King Arthur. I remember the I'm pregnant joke, which overstayed its welcome. And then Prince Charming rallying all of the villains, and then of course Fiona and her mom breaking loose. But those are just very small moments within the movie. Or also the way that it opens, and it's all right. Someone had better be dying. I'm dying. Like, oops, didn't mean it. The king is dying. All right. So, let's talk character arcs. Oh, that's my opinion about Yuji. Are we talking about Yuji from Jujutsu Kaisen? Great, I love Yuji, and I wish that there was actually more of him in the final arc of Jujutsu Kaisen, rather than of everyone else. Keeping up with the manga, I enjoy Jujutsu Kaisen, but the final arc is such a chore to read. Ugh, it will definitely not be up there with my favorites. Uh, Honestly, my favorite part was Shrek's disturbing baby dream. Oh, please, ISO, please do not remind me of that baby dream. Oh, oh, that just sent a shudder down my spine. All right, so talking about character arcs. Uh, Again, so in a conversation that Camille and I have been having with Matterlad about characters, about what you expect to do with them, either within either within a season of a show, or within one book, or within a series, your characters, especially your main characters, should have an arc to them, meaning that they change from point A to point B or from point A to point Z by the end of the story. And 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 it can be big, it can be simple, it can be complex, it can be small. And the reason why people make such a big deal about character arcs is because we want to see the heroes achieve something. We want to see the heroes become who they are meant to be. And without a journey to get there, it's normally very hard to like those characters. Here's an example. Here's an example. Let's say you've got a prospector. You've got someone who's going out into the wilds looking for gold, and they want to, and they're hoping to strike it rich. We want to see them strike it rich. Well, if they go out into the wilderness and then just suddenly come back with a bunch of gold inexplicably, yay! They got from point A to point B. Woohoo! But wait, how did they get the gold? Really, why did they want the gold? What were the struggles? Did they learn anything? Was there anything more than just the gold that they discovered out there? Without getting to know more about this prospector, why should I care? I have no reason to like this guy. I don't even know what his name is. He just went out into the wilderness, got gold, came back home, he's now rich. And for most people, that's not a good story. There's no reason to spend your time with that story. A character arc takes us on that journey, introducing us to who this prospector is. Jimmy Joe from Missouri. He's an orphan. The reason why he's going out prospecting for gold is he hopes to strike it rich and start his own noodle shop. Yeah. So Jimmy Joe goes out there into the wilds of California, and he goes a mining. Finds out he can't do it all on his own. He doesn't know how to find gold, so he's going to try to find people to work with. He gets betrayed by another group of prospectors who steal his land. So what is he going to do now? Well, and they've stolen his land. They've even destroyed some of his equipment or stolen it. What is he going to do? He falls in with a bunch of Chinese prospectors who have been relegated to working in a dangerous canyon because no one else wants to work there because, well, it's dangerous. And these Chinese guys are like, hey, you know what? Extra hands, many hands make light work. Brother, come, you're going to work with us. And he's like, wow, I found friendship. And they find gold. And then other prospectors get jealous because Chinese should not get gold out here. And so they go and they attack them. And Jimmy Joe's got to figure out what side is he going to be on. Is he going to be on the side of his fellow Americans? Or is he going to side with these Chinese prospectors who've treated him well? And the choice that he makes defines who he is. And depending on that choice, we then see then where he goes, how he gets all that gold in the end, and how he's able to then finally set up that shop, that precious noodle shop. And so when you go on that particular route, when I'm giving you these details of this prospector, I've given him a name, I've given him a background, I've given him struggles, and all of these things as he's trying to get to that noodle shop that he will one day own. Hopefully, this makes people care about the prospector. This makes them engaged in his story. It allows them to find meaning in his story. He's not just someone who went into the woods and then came back with gold. He's a man with a dream who went to obtain that dream. People tried to destroy that dream. And we see him persevere. He becomes stronger, smarter, wiser, kinder as he tries to get his fortune. Or maybe he betrays the Chinese who helped him out, and he decides to side with his fellow Americans, so that way he can steal the gold from the Chinese prospectors, just like gold and stuff was stolen from him earlier on. And then we get to decide if Jimmy Joe is a villain or a hero. That is what a character arc is meant to do. It's meant to take us on this journey with this character, help us to get to know them, show us how and why they change and become the person who they are meant to be by the end of the story. That is your character arc. And there's all kinds of technical terms for various kinds of arcs, and you can do the research into what those are and figure out which ones you'd want to work with your own characters. For me, I just think about personally I think about a character. I get to know who that character is. And then I ask myself, where do I want that character to be by the end of the story? And then I begin to plan into plots. I make notes. I make a map. I'm an architect writer, or as I like to call it, a Hanging Gardens of Babylon writer. I come up with all of the different challenges that the hero or the antagonist are going to experience along the way, and then I explore what those challenges do to them. And so, like, for example, with one of my books, The Monarch Mercenaries, I have my main character, Captain Carsonius. And Captain Carsonius, it starts off as this hot-headed young captain who wants revenge on the people who killed his captain, his real captain, who murdered most of his crew. And so the story is of him going for that revenge, gunning for it, manipulating people, using people, taking all of these crazy jobs, going on these crazy adventures. And we get to see this young man tearing himself apart in the pursuit of revenge. But what happens when he gets the chance for revenge? And that's where things begin to change for him. And I get to then explore who he's meant to be. I know that I want Captain Carsonius, by the end of the story, to not be some hot-headed, revenge-driven pirate captain, but I want him to be a good, respectable man despite his profession by the end. So how do I get there? What do I make this guy go through where he's still a pirate, but becomes a good and a respectable man? And that is then what my story must explore for him. His character arc is how he goes from revenge-driven, hot-headed young captain to good, respectable man. That is my challenge. Now then, to address what some people have written right here. So Camille says character arcs don't have to be linear, and that's absolutely true. In some cases, especially even with side characters, you don't actually get to see every single step along the way for their adventure. And sometimes, especially when you have multiple POVs, you might even be missing a crucial part of one person's journey because you're looking through another person's eyes. Time skips will also mean that there's gaps within that journey. The important thing is that, again, you know where your character is meant to be by the end, and you're plotting how they get there. You want to show how they get there, and you want to show who they become along the way, and what kinds of relationships they have along the way. What do they learn along the way? That is a character arc. Matterlad, part of what you're saying sounds like a character in the show. Maybe so. Roblox steals land. Solution: join the immigrants. Yes, because in America, that's what we do. That's our American history. Sad as it is. ISO, the movie Dancing with Wolves is similar to that. Yeah, I can see that. Hafiz, sorry I'm late. Drawing manga right now. Hafiz, no worries whatsoever. You keep drawing your manga and be awesome. And then what we've got right here, not every character needs an arc. And I'm going to say, yeah, some of your background characters definitely don't need arcs. And I am going to talk about the unchanging protagonist, having a look specifically at N from Murder Drones, because at least as far as we've gotten so far within 7 episodes of Murder Drones, N has largely not changed from who he has always been. And that is actually kind of crucial to the story. Well, we'll get to that. TV count. Option on background lore dumping X having big characters or BG characters chatting about what happened prior to the story starting, and visual details like a newspaper and stuff being used to flesh out the world. Also option on balancing showing the reader versus telling them. This is from someone making comics. Yes, there's all different kinds of ways that you can convey important information about the characters, what's happening to them, and the world around them. It doesn't always have to be in the moment action. It can happen via flashbacks, through conversations, through background materials, such as you say right there, newspapers, or stuff that's happening on the broadcast news. Marilad's example of not seeing some progression. Khan Doorman. False. Khan has changed. Khan has gone through a very interesting character arc, and I can even explain why here in a bit. Roblox is down. Explore the character through the story. Wrong. Put it all into the intro. Correct. Yes, please. Oh, I hate this. This is a trope of modern Hollywood to give you everything you need to know about the character right off the bat. There's no subtlety. There is no learning about who the character is. Everything is given to you right off the bat. And then you're constantly reminded about those characters' attributes and past by other characters just simply saying it. Oh, I hate it. ISO may not have changed much, but he's actually had a lot of character developments. I might put N's character analysis in the comment section. Hey, sure, please, ISO, please do that. Now before I dive into Uzi and N, Khan. If we think about where Khan has been and where he's going to, at his very core, Khan is a dry humored character who is a survivalist. This guy is all about surviving. That is what he does. Whether it's through fighting or through defending or through running away, everything he does is about trying to survive. Now then, that mentality, as we see, has made him a bad father because he's focusing more on trying to survive, and then also, of course, receiving the accolades of saving everyone, rather than focusing on being a good dad when Uzi needs a strong parent figure in her life after her mother has been destroyed. Or, as far as she's concerned, is dead. As we learned in the most recent episode, that's not the case. Now then, Khan goes from this absolute survivalist mentality where he tries to hide himself away and just bask in that victory, and where he's not a good supportive dad. And what we then see is how he's willing to let his own daughter go twice in the pilot. But then in the second episode, there's that reunion. Uzi shows terror in lieu of what's happened to her, and she holds on to her father, being shown that hologram of him being ripped into pieces right before her very eyes and eaten has a tremendous effect on her. And when she hugs him, she's hugging on for dear life and crying. Khan realizes she's just gone through something awful. And rather than berating her as he would have done in the pilot, he hugs her back. And he takes her in, and from that point on, we see him, even though he fails in various ways, him now trying to actually be a proper dad and not just simply make excuses for why he's not around anymore. He now tries to make up for lost time, and we get to see the fighter in him as well when he stares N down, and he's like, I ran before. And I lost my daughter. I now have her back, and I'm not letting go. And so then in the third episode, we see him trying to help Uzi make friends. Granted, it doesn't work out really well. He's there. He's there at the prom. And yes, he does try to run. He does. That survivalist instinct kicks in again. He tries to run when Doll begins to when Doll and Lizzie and V take control of the prom, and everything's about to go to absolute pot. Yet he is the last one to leave the ballroom. He stays there because of Uzi until he's finally shoved on out. And then it is he who gives Uzi the information necessary to begin hunting for the cabin fever labs. He then begins to tell her more about the past, about what happened with her mother. And when he finally realizes later on that Uzi's really in neck deep into some horrible stuff, he's the one who straps up, begins building weapons, and decides to take the fight to the murder drones. He is no longer just simply going to hide. He's going to fight. And he's going to fight for his daughter. And that shows a great change in him. Someone who in the pilot threw away his daughter twice is now going beyond his comfort zone and is using everything he has at his disposal to take the fight to an enemy that he is positively scared of to save his daughter. And we can see that change. We can see him trying to make excuses for being a bad father, and we can see how Uzi finally latching on to him. And he doesn't fully understand why, but he realizes my daughter's back, and I'm not going to let go. I was a bad father. I need to become a better father. And we get to see him trying to make those conscious choices to help his daughter out along the way. And that allows him to change and become a much better person, and to become someone who could very easily be one of those heroes by the end of episode 8. We're going to have to see where it goes, because we haven't yet seen how the show concludes. But it's very clear that Khan is someone who has changed. Now, TV Ken says the problem with Khan's development was so vague that it comes out of nowhere, or worse, a retcon. And here's the thing, TV account. I am going to push back on that, because it's not a retcon. It doesn't take away from what happened. It is vague in that he doesn't tell us outright. And in fact, that's the beauty of Khan's development, because he doesn't need to tell us why. We as the audience have to be paying attention to him and to how he changes. So that way when he shows up in episode 7, you're like, yes! Yes! I hated you in the first episode, and you have absolutely redeemed yourself. Or at least you're on the path to redeeming yourself. And even he himself realizes that you can't just simply make up for all the bad things you've done in one good moment. One good deed does not pardon a man for a lifetime of sin. To paraphrase Commodore Norrington's quote from Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. But Khan shows an incredible amount of growth, and we can understand why when we pay attention to what he's doing and to what he's saying. TV account opinion on if an opening with no dialogue is a good way to set up a mystery. Let the visuals speak for themselves for someone making comics. Yes. In fact, actually, sometimes an opening without dialogue, especially for the visual medium, is incredible. Written prose, it can feel boring unless you have very, very powerful writing, which I will admit, I am not that good of a writer. I don't think I could pull off something like setting up a mystery without any dialogue. But for the visual mediums, from comics to shows to movies, absolutely. You can set up some amazing stuff by just showing images. So you can definitely go that way. TV account note, I actually took notice of the character development. Very good. I'm just pushing back on people who are like, Khan doesn't have any character development. Khan sucks. I'm like, oh no. We have not been watching the same show then. Hafiz says Hollywood thinks we are not educated. Just give us the puzzle pieces and let's assemble it on our own. Yeah, that's actually what Gravity Falls did, and it's amazing when you leave clues, cues, elements within the story for the audience to interact with, and you don't feed them everything. Let people engage, and they will have way more fun, like what we see with how people interacted with Gravity Falls. And I will say this, it's very difficult. Like, that is something that I, as a writer, have to be conscious of, because I want to tell everyone everything that's on my mind, because I love this story. I love everything that I'm doing, and I want you to not miss a single bit. But I have to have faith in my audience that they can pick up on these things, and that I don't need to spell out literally everything for them. And that's actually been a difficult thing for me to overcome. I will admit that I am not perfect in that in that regard, and it's something I still struggle with every now and then. Let's see here. As I know that there was something from up earlier. There was a question earlier which I haven't gotten to, which was your opinion of Sukuna. Sukuna is an OP villain who I actually lost interest in really quickly. Sad to say. I wanted to make sure I got back around to that. No, especially while reading the manga, I have honestly lost interest in Sukuna. And I'm just now waiting to see how the story wraps up. Okay. Well, let me get another drink of water. Khan doesn't have any character development, and I took that personally. Yes. Yeah, especially because I remember getting flack for saying how after episode 2 that I'm like, Khan is about to go through some development. I am excited. And people are like, Khan is a jerk. Khan is the worst father ever, and he's never going to change. I'm like, we'll see about that. And I feel vindicated. Yeah, Khan's character development is subtle, but it's there if you're willing to dig. Exactly. Which, to a certain degree, you can say the same thing for En. En's character development is more on the subtle side. Now then, let's actually start talking about our two main characters, En and Uzi. And since I've already talked about a character who does have a character arc that shows progression, let's talk about En, who has a character arc where it's definitely not very clear, as of 7 episodes, what is all happening with this guy. So, the unchanging protagonist. There's probably a more accurate term for this kind of individual, but I realized that this was a very popular kind of character to use from the mid 90s to early 2000s when it came to Japanese stories. For instance, if you go to Gurren Lagann, crud, the first guy's name just absolutely blanked on me. The guy who you think is the main character before he gets killed, spoilers, is unchanging. He is who he is. He doesn't change whatsoever. Ichigo from Bleach, who's one of my favorite characters of all time, is an unchanging protagonist in that he is a stubborn, hot-headed guy who wants revenge on the spirits who killed his mother, and he wants to protect his family, and he wants to protect his friends. That's all he ever's wanted. That's who he is at the beginning of the story, and that is exactly who he is at the end. He wants revenge on the people who killed his mother. He's a hot-headed young guy who will do anything to protect his friends and his family. He does not change one single bit. He gets power-ups. He never changes. He never changes at all. In fact, actually, that is blatantly stated in the second to last arc, that Ichigo has not changed, and that his power is, and that part of his power is that he cannot be corrupted. He cannot be changed. He is who he is through and through. Now then, that really only works as a good character archetype if they are balanced out by strong characters who do grow, and if that unchanging character has an indelible effect on the rest of the plot, meaning that the rest of the plot moves onwards because of this unrelenting, unchanging character. When we get to En, who is En at the beginning of the story? Yes, he's a murder drone. But personally, he is a sweet cinnamon roll. He is someone who will do anything at least once. He's open to trying. He's open to trying new things. He's awkward. He's goofy. He wants to love. He wants to be loved. And that's who he is. From the first episode all the way up to the 7th. And in fact, Sin even calls him out on that, on how his attitude, how his unchanging attitude is precisely what allowed her to manipulate him back on Earth and get him to help her destroy humanity. That the vision of killing everyone on Earth was in part because he did it. And that one of the things that Sin can always count on him to do is that because he is also in a way carefree and will do anything at least once, he becomes unpredictable. He's predictable in his unpredictability. You can always count on N to do something weird. You can always count on N to do something far out there. You can always count on N to shake up the bottle. But you can always also count on N to be lovable, to be gullible, to be nice, and to desire to be loved. And that those things right there, while they are absolute strengths, because N's kindness changes people. It's changed V, it's changed Uzi, and it has then, and by extent, it has inspired other characters as well. His unpredictability is what in part led him to challenging his own programming and teaming up with Uzi. Like, he has been a force for change on the characters and on the world of murder drones. And so that is how I see that he is an unchanging character. If you plot from the pilot to episode 7, N's core personality has not changed. Nor have his goals really changed. The only thing, where we have seen the biggest changes happening for N is in what has been taken from him. How V has been taken from him. How Tessa has been taken from him. And how now Uzi has been taken from him. And so the question becomes, what will N now do? Sin says that he is predictable in his unpredictability. And the plan was to get rid of him underneath. Her plan was to get rid of him within the church, within the Citadel, underneath the planet. So that way, then she could continue on with her plans, with the ritual, and with everything to consume Copper 9 and continue doing the work of Absolute Solver. But Uzi's been there. Uzi's been there to help him out, to break him out of that. Now, as Isa says right here, the mental breakdown. Can I please have one? No, please, no mental breakdowns. We want to be mentally healthy. And that is where actually in episode 7, things get real. Because for the first real time throughout the entire series, we get to see N finally break. Where he's clawing his way back to V. He needs to get back to her. But that moment is quickly snapped out of him thanks to Uzi and Tessa. And then N goes back to being N. And so that's why it's interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see where we end up with episode 8. I think episode 8 has the potential to show us a real side to N that we haven't seen before, and to also prove to him and to everyone else the kind of person that he can be. But thus far, everything that N has accomplished has been through him being a sweet cinnamon roll, a sweet, unpredictable, loving cinnamon roll. Even his really awesome moment where he's fighting alongside Nori against Absolute Solver Uzi, even in that moment, N is still him because he refuses to fall for Absolute Solver's trap and kill Uzi himself. And so the way that I see it is that N has largely been an unchanging protagonist. He's gone on this incredible adventure. He is definitely not where he was at the beginning of the pilots. He is somewhere else now, not just physically, but also as a protagonist. But who he is has not changed. And that is an interesting conversation. And that's definitely one that I know that, for instance, ISO is going to challenge me on. And I look forward to seeing ISO's argument on that because it's not set in stone. And it can definitely change, and I can even be persuaded to believe otherwise. But the way that I see N right now as of episode 7 is that he is the unchanging protagonist. While he has gained knowledge, he has not changed as a result of that knowledge. While he has lost people, he hasn't yet fully changed as a result of losing all these people. Not that we've truly seen. We got that mental breakdown for just a moment, and then he reverted back to being N. We even see in the 5th episode, in the manor, that when horrible things happen that should break him, he just closes it out. He shuts it out and proceeds to be N once again. And so we're going to see what episode 8 does to him. I want to see a real distinct change happen with N. As for right now, he is truly an unchanging protagonist. So we will see where the debates take us on that. Let me quickly read up on what some of you guys have put right here before I then conclude with Uzi. TV account, the scary part is trusting your audience to actually understand the story on a deeper level, but it's a leap of faith, right? It absolutely is. You have to trust that your audience can be intelligent, and just go from there. Madeline, yeah, I worded my statement about Khan incorrectly. I fixed it. I think you missed it. Maybe I did. And everything else. Huffy says the Japanese storytelling technique is called Kisho Tenketsu. Kisho Tenketsu. I call it roller coaster ride. Uzi has always been the one that N could rely on, and now that she's out of the picture and needs to deal with it alone. Yes, and I'm very interested to see what happens when N is finally and truly alone. Roblox, yes, we must go over mental breakdowns. It is Mental Health Awareness Month, after all. Oh, it is, I guess, huh? Yes, mental breakdowns do happen to all of us. Make sure you have good friends and good family relationships help you get through those moments. All right, let me take another drink of water, and then let's wrap this up with Uzi. Now then, talking about character arcs. Uzi is the kind of character who wants to be the hero. We even get that in the opening, where she even then has the hero's journey displayed behind her. She's giving her presentation as she's building a weapon. She's going to be the one to instigate a revolution. She's going to be the one to defeat the murder drones. She's going to be the one to change this world, and she's going to prove that she is better and beyond all of these other lame people who have constantly looked down on her, both literally and figuratively. And she's going to prove her worth once and for all. And dang it, she's an angsty girl that's going through hormonal issues. Dang it. We get this very sassy, very goth, very independent, against the world. I've got a massive chip on my shoulder the size of a boulder girl in Uzi. Now then, Uzi by episode 7 is still a hormonal teenager and a goth who is out against the world with a massive chip on her shoulder and mommy and daddy issues. She's still that way, and yet her desires have changed. Where she was once all about destroying the murder drones, it then becomes, we're going to destroy the humans. And then along the way begin to realize, oh, it's deeper than that. There's this absolute solver program. And as she comes to learn more about who her enemies really are and what they're doing, Uzi, rather than trying to be the hero, which is what she had, which is kind of what had taken up her line of thought, that she was going to stick it to the man, she was going to stick it to her dad, she was going to stick it to her teacher and everyone else, she was going to prove her worth. There's no longer that desire to stick it to people. Instead, she is doing what she's doing because she, most importantly, loves En. And as we see, she does come to love her father more. And she does not want to lose the planet that she's on. Even if in a begrudging way, she comes to respect and care for the other people within her community. Uzi goes from being selfish to selfless. And we see that especially in the 7th episode, where it was incongruent to her back in episodes 1 and 2, and even through most of episode 3, to sacrifice yourself for someone else until En kept doing that, where En kept stepping in to save her. She now is in a position where she will, without hesitation, sacrifice herself to help someone else, where she's even willing to put aside her animosity, her rivalry with V, to help someone else. Most specifically En, but she can do that now. And on top of that, coming to at least better understanding of her past, being able to forgive her father a whole lot easier. While she hasn't yet said, "Daddy, I forgive you," through her interactions with her father, she's no longer purely antagonistic against him. It has reverted to what we might expect of your stereotypical goth teenager and blue-collared working dad. and the knowledge that she has received about the past and everything has ultimately changed her a whole lot more. I think by now, even though this is something that she hasn't said, I think that there's enough context clues for us to piece together that Uzi has begun to realize that being the hero means doing the hard thing, that being the hero means sacrifice, and that being the hero is not something that is rewarded with praise and all the stuff that you wish that you would get with that. And that she's willing to accept that in order to do the right thing. And while that's not a massive step in terms of character progression, like if I were to take Uzi's personal journey and compare it to, for instance, the likes of Dalinar from the Stormlight Archive, my boy Dalinar has gone through way more than Uzi ever will, and Dalinar has progressed so much as an individual. But that does not take away that those few important steps that Uzi took were important to her, and that they matter to her, that they matter to the plot's progression, and that this ending that we see playing out right here on the screen as I'm saying this, you would not get any of that without the character progression that Uzi undergoes on this journey. And that is her character progression. To go from an angsty, selfish, self-hero worshipping individual who doesn't really care about other people, to becoming, still a hormonal, angsty teenager who now cares for other people, who is actively doing the right thing because it is the right thing. And that is a powerful step to make. And so Uzi feels like she's truly grown as a character from the pilot episode all the way to the end of episode 7. And if anyone wants to debate me on that, then by all means, go ahead into the comments once this live stream is done and post that up, and we will get a debate going. Now, Hafisa said, "Murder Drone, huh? I would watch it if I wasn't afraid of sentient robots." Thanks, Terminator 2. Terminator movies, yes. But Hafiz, I definitely recommend Murder Drones. I think you will enjoy it. ISO says as well, that's fair. It is an eldritch horror show, so it won't be easy with a fear like that, especially with Sin. Yes, Sin is horrifying, especially when you then get to see what Sin becomes by the very end. Camille, this has made me want to watch Murder Drones. Yes, Camille, please join us. Join us in having watched Murder Drones. It's definitely worth it. I actually, uh, one of these days, if I ever have the chance to meet up with either Liam or anyone from Glitch, I will tell them. I will tell them that I did my part. I introduced not only my family and some of my friends, but I actually introduced a podunk rural town out in the middle of nowhere to murder drones. I did that by actually recommending it to people by saying, hey, you should watch this, and also wearing Murder Drones shirts. And people are like, whoa, what's that shirt? I'm like, it's from Murder Drones. It's a really cool show on YouTube. You should watch it. And I introduced a lot of people to Murder Drones out in the middle of nowhere. So, yeah, such a great show. But there you have it. So Uzi is a character who even though, yeah, admit she doesn't change dramatically as an individual from the pilot episode to the 7th episode, there is a very palpable, very real change that transforms her from a character who people were annoyed with Uzi in the beginning to, I think now most people are absolutely on board with Uzi and love Uzi. And it's in part because we've seen how she's changed. And as the lovable cinnamon roll who is too good for this world has captured our hearts from episode 1 and has largely stayed the same person from then all the way up until episode 7. And it'll be interesting to see what happens in episode 8 because of everything that has now happened, what has been taken from him. Because we have seen that he has constantly rejected having to deal with these problems and with all these challenges and changes. So what will happen to our sweet cinnamon roll boy when there is no one else that he can hide behind and he must address those changes and problems? And then plus, I just really want to see what's going to happen with V. I still want Eldritch Abomination Velociraptor V to show up. Man can dream, right? At least we'll have fan fiction. So yeah, Javi says, I'll give the show a watch. Yeah, do that. Let us know what you think. If you don't like it, that's okay. You don't have to like this show just because we highly recommend it. If you watch it and you love it, fantastic. If you watch and you don't like it, hey, at least you gave it a try. And that's great. Magalire says, Murder Drones has changed my life. That isn't a lie. It actually has. I can see that. This show has meant a whole lot to a lot of people. And the interesting thing is this, is that while The Amazing Digital Circus is definitely the most popular show that Glitch Productions has put out there, I will argue that Murder Drones has had a much greater effect on its audience, where people are actively talking about how the characters are changing, what they're undergoing, what is happening within the story, speculating on that. I mean, there's a lot of mystery wrapped up in The Amazing Digital Circus and a lot to say, but at least within my circles, I have not seen anyone to the same degree talk about The Amazing Digital Circus and speculate on it and talk about how the characters have really resonated with them. I think that Pomni's existential crisis has resonated with a lot of people, but as opposed to like Uzi feeling like the outsider and being the bullied kid who starts finding friends, V, who is the person who has undergone so much trauma and is trying to figure out how to deal with that, and the relationship, of course, with Khan, Doll, all the speculation revolving around Doll, and just how Lizzie and Thad. Can we just have a round of applause for Lizzie and Thad? As the friends we all wish that we actually had in real life. Those are characters that I've seen a lot of people really resonate with. And I will say this, actually, a little side personal story from Lars, that one of my really good friends back in high school who really helped me kind of get out of my own shell and also get out of my own head and get out of my own way was a Thad guy. Like the how you see Thad in the show, that was basically him. And he was such a good positive influence on me in high school and really helped me out a whole lot. So if you have a Thad in your own life, hold on to that Thad, because Thad is a good boy. Isa says, same though, Murder Drones got me started with my animation project. Although I cannot animate it yet, the story is coming along great. And that's awesome to hear, ISO. It's all thanks to Liam Vickers, Murder Drones, and Glitch. Yeah, Liam Vickers with Glitch to create Murder Drones has been absolutely inspirational to so many people. And it's great to see. So, guys, with all that being said, as I had said at the very beginning, I didn't want this to go past 2 hours if possible. So I'm going to start wrapping it up here. That was everything I wanted to say in terms of character arcs, character progression for individuals like N and Uzi, and then even Khan. Just remember this. If you're going to have an unchanging protagonist, it's so hard to pull off. It really is. You have to capture your audience with the force of who that character is. In terms of N, it's the sweet, lovable, goofy cinnamon roll that you just want more of. And if it's Ichigo from Bleach, that force of nature, who you feel secure being around when you're watching. You just know that when he's there, the good guys are going to win, and he has noble motivations for everything that he does. If it wasn't for those attributes to either N or to Ichigo, they would be immediately very forgettable characters. And it's very hard to have a character and sustain a character who undergoes so little growth and maintain anything that's interesting for them. A comparison, and this is a comparison to a character that I know most people haven't come across, but there is a character called Lopin from the Stormlight Archive. And I love the Stormlight Archive. It's one of my favorite modern fantasy stories. However, Lopin, while he is such a breath of fresh air in the first 2 books, Lopin is an unchanging character. He has no character arc. He is simply there as comic relief. In the first 2 books, you need it because there's so many heavy things happening. It's really, really hard to find moments of levity and to just have a break when reading the Stormlight Archive. Lopin is there to provide that break, to provide that comedy. But as the story changes and as the other characters begin to grow, and especially as Kaladin, who is one of the main characters, starts overcoming his depression and becoming a much better person, the need for a comic relief to help balance him out disappears. And as a result, Lopin is just kind of there, spouting off the same one-liner jokes and zingers, and his humor quickly, at least for me, grows old. For some people, they love Lopin, and that's okay. But it's really hard to like Lopin after 4.5 books where he never changes, and all of his jokes are the same. If a joke has grown old after a million words, it gets really annoying after the next million words of reading. And that's why I have such a hard time with an unchanging character like Lopin. So, while not all characters necessarily need character arcs, it's good to have them, and the more that you have a character around, my rule of thumb, this is Lars's opinion and advice, give that character a character arc. Because it keeps them interesting, it keeps people engaged, and when people are like, why is this character even on screen? They can at least see the value of having them there, and they can see them slowly grow on the page, or from episode to episode, or from scene to scene, and you're like, that's why I like this character. That's why this character's around. It now makes sense. Roblox, simple. Make them a programmed robot that can't change. AI with no learning. Marilad, now I want to accept that as a challenge. I want to make an unchanging character that is good, but I'm smart enough not to do that. Hey, I'm Omega. You can try that. I'm Omega. Matterlad, you can definitely try that out. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying that you need to understand the difficulties in doing an unchanging protagonist. And there are things that I myself have written that I wrote because it was a challenge. I wanted to challenge myself as an author to write a kind of character that I had a really hard time with. And if you are willing to accept that challenge, I think that you can really grow as a writer. It might not work out. It might not be a massive success, but you will learn. And that's what's really important. I'm Omega says, I know this is weird of me saying this, but if you watch No Evil, then you are going to do a video of. Let's see. If you watch No Evil, then are you going to do a video about it, or do you need to go into the woodwork for it first? I'm Omega. I don't know if let's see here. Pull that up. No Evil. Okay. Well, we'll see. There's a lot of things. There's a lot as I plan out what I'm going to do throughout the weeks and the months. It always comes down to time, and I only have there's only so much I can do each day. Hey, I'm already behind on shows I'd like to watch, books I want to read, and things I should be doing. And I really need to reprioritize certain things and put some matters definitely first, which I've put off for far too long. Ugh. But we'll see. I'll check out No Evil, and if it's something that I do a video on, then it will be here. If not, then it's not. I'm sorry, I can't give. I can't say more than that. I can't promise something that I know I can't deliver on. TV account. I think Lamar from Metarunner counts as an unchanging character and comic relief that's actually likable, and that can be done. I still actually need to sit down and watch Metarunner. So that way I can bask in the original glory days of from Glitch Production, and see what they did, because I know that Metarunner has received a lot of praise for what it all did. So I got to catch up. I got to be the one to that. I recommend watching up to episode 10. Okay, let's see. I got that. Say one thing that was recommended for me to watch was Gilded Guy. I haven't yet caught up with all of Gilded Guy, but that's been a lot of fun to watch. I know some people ask me like, "Hey, are you going to do a video? Could you do a video on silent protagonists or stories that don't use dialogue?" And definitely, if I finish up Gilded Guy and there's something to talk about there, I think it'd be fun to do a comparison between Gilded Guy and Primal, which is a great show. Hannah says, yeah, writing flat characters is hard because they might come off as one-dimensional. A good character that doesn't change is Sonic. You know, and that's true. A lot of people love Sonic. Yeah, Sonic doesn't change much as a character. And neither does Mario. So, I mean, there are video game characters that are definitely really good in that regard. The Marilette says, well, I don't think that my first time writing a story like that, I should make an unchanging character. Sounds like a challenge for another time when I get better. Excellent. Do what you got to do, Marilette, and write the story that you want to write. And if you want to have a changing protagonist, which is definitely the route that I would recommend, then do it and write the story that you want to write. Yes, I love Gilded Guy. The animation is insane. It is great. It's amazing. I love independent animation. All right. You guys can probably hear it, but my voice is beginning to go, even with the water. So I am going to wrap it up right there. Everyone, thank you so much for being here. And Camille, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. This is one of the reasons why I'm normally the one doing the live streams by myself, is because in Camille's harem, everyone other than me has a life and are usually very busy. And so it's great. It was great having Camille here. And it was great having all of you guys here as well. Thank you so much for your questions, for your comments, for your discussions. It has been awesome. You guys, as usual, have been fantastic and respectful. So thank you so much for being here. And yeah, if there's anything that you guys would like to ask us, if there's anything that you would like help with, please leave your questions and the likes, your requests in the comments. We do go through them. We'll try to respond to them and help you on out. Lars roasting himself twice this month. Yeah, it's what I do. It's my kind of comedy, the self-roasting. But please make sure that you go into the comments to chat with us, to leave behind any questions that you might not have had the chance to ask here during the live stream, and we will be happy to interact with you there and help you out the best that we can. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible adventure that we call writing, And until the next video, y'all, tschüss.